Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Ronnie Socash here for the Landscape Architecture Memory Project. Starting off, stage one, where we talk about our childhood and where we're from, through the eyes of a 6 to 10-year-old child. What my background actually and why I'm so interested in landscape architecture is because my dad's a landscape architect, and so of course, his kid's gonna be interested in nature as he was, because he's gonna show us how beautiful nature can be in its true form. Places like botanical gardens and national parks. He took us to those places and really piqued our interest. Also, my mom is from Peru, and Peru is a third world country where it's extremely rural, and so it's not hard to find any natural type of environment like a forest or a river, things like that. So she was very grounded in nature as well. Starting off, my first drawing is of my home. Here we go. You can see a house in the middle, obviously, and in the front we did have a U-shaped garden with plants and flowers and open green space. Big deal about my neighborhood in general was that there were oak trees lining the street, and so you can't really see it here, but you could imagine oak trees were lining every part of the block. Also in the back, I have Bismarckias circled, and the significance of that is because there were multiple Bismarckias actually, and that was a big deal to me because I know that not a lot of people have Bismarckia palms because they're very expensive to get, and we were lucky enough to have them already there in our home. Also, I have a key that I wrote CP is cocoa plum and C is Carpentaria palm, and so basically we had a cocoa plum and Carpentaria wall, insulating ourselves from our neighbors and anyone that wanted to see through our fence. And so yeah, this was our house. A lot of plants. My dad did a good job of designing that. Thankfully, I really appreciated all that we had there. Even from a young age, I knew that nature was different. And while I didn't appreciate the scale of our garden and things like that, I did appreciate that we had one, and it was very nice. And so, moving on to the second part would be my house in relation to the neighborhood. And I'm sorry, as you can see here, my house is right here in the top corner, and there would be oak trees lining the road. However, in the diagram, I just have a simple grid system as the way it was. As you can see here, there's SP, that means small park. There was a small park that wasn't really used that I spent a lot of time at, and that was a place where I really felt I grew, and it's kind of my own area. However, the place where I grew the most was definitely this large park here with a lake and basketball, baseball courts, tennis courts, things like that. I learned how to play baseball there. I learned how to play basketball there. Spent so much time with my family there. I mean, it was really a place where I remember the most fondly in my whole neighborhood, and really was an influential part of my life growing up with my parents and with my sister, and just becoming a better kid growing up. A lot of time was spent outside here at parks, just outside of my street, using the trees as bases to play wiffle ball. I didn't really play video games that much and TV. While it was hard because all the other kids would be playing their video games and talking about things like that, I really wasn't involved in that. And so looking back on it now, I think it's an incredible advantage that I had. But it was hard back then, but I mean, also looking back on it, you realize how special an area like this is with a tree, shade cover, and parks to play at as a kid. It really grew up. Moving on to my city. I lived here. This is my neighborhood, Pembroke Falls, and also a little bit north there's a wetland area, and to the south was where I went to high school, Archbishop McCarthy. And so I also have my middle school here as well. And that basically, they're significant as far as there was a lot of plant life there. There were palm trees, cocoa plum, there were flowers. There was a lot. They really did a really good job as far as us being kids, being immersed in nature as well. I remember I had a class in elementary school where we would just walk around the campus as part of the reading exercises because they wanted us outside in an organic setting. And so that was a really big deal. My high school was lucky because we were surrounded by ranches, and so there's a lot of natural features there that really help supplement the field nature in the park. The place in my city that I feel most connected to is these baseball fields over here. I spent a good 10 years of my life there, going there 3 or 4 times a week, playing games, practicing, meeting people, meeting my best friends. Terrific place to be. Pembroke Lakes Optimist baseball fields. I mean, just great. A lot of major leaguers came out of there. Well, I'm not one of them. I'm proud to say that I know a few of them. And they helped me out a lot. It made my experience more enjoyable. But it was more than just baseball. I feel like I grew up. There are a lot of lessons to be learned there, and a lot of different ways of looking at things. Like you know that a sport isn't everything, and there's a lot more to see in life than just playing baseball or something else. And so those lessons were learned through a lot of places here. There's another place called Stephen Smith Park. Spent a lot of time there. Also, the LA Fitness Gym. While it seems like a man-made gym, I spent a lot of time there as well, working out, getting in shape. I used to be really, really, really chunky, and now not so much, thankfully. But I definitely grew up there a lot, playing basketball with some grown men there. It gets pretty intense, and so you gotta be able to step up and really not let anyone literally push you around. And so I feel like I grew up a lot there. The final paper I was writing was about the design elements and landscape architecture, and as far as the ones I felt were most important was including green infrastructure into most design elements when designing a community. At least where I'm from, I feel that green infrastructure is a little more important than blue infrastructure, basically because you notice it more. It rains a lot in seasons and in spurts where I live, but when it rains it pours, and so you don't really do anything there those days. I mean, it's raining, and you know the drainage and everything is extremely important in retaining stormwater. However, it is so hot where I live in South Florida, where you easily notice the lack of shade, or the lack of green walkways which we have, or the lack of plants on roofs or anything like that could help lower the temperature. You notice that a lot more than you don't notice the drainage pipes. And while some people might disagree about what they feel is more important, I feel that the fact that you notice it more means that I would put green infrastructure a little bit higher on the design element totem pole than blue infrastructure. And so that's what I really felt was the main design element. Also including parks, I wrote about that in there. As far as landscape architecture, so far doing this project, I didn't really realize how prevalent nature is in the way we design buildings. Things like green roofs and just parks, public parks, lowering the temperature and getting rid of things like, I think it was the heat island. I'm not exactly sure 100%. But I had no idea. I always thought of my dad's profession as just planting trees and things like that. Well, I knew it was important, but I didn't know it had this much of an effect on not just a community, but an entire society, basically. But you can really change the environment. And when you think about it, the environment is the most important aspect of when you go outside or when you experience something. Whether it's too cold, too hot, can it ruin your entire experience? And so landscape architects play a big role in that, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of things we do. Definitely taking this class, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to pursue this as a career, and the more that we do projects on this and it opened my eyes to more things, I realized that it's something that I'd be interested in. It's really, really interesting in itself. And so, yeah, I feel that the memory project's been working out pretty well. I really appreciate being able to have the opportunity of the project without being completely destroyed by the due dates. So, thank you for that. All right, guys. So have a good one. Nice talking. Bye.